I think it's pretty safe to say that among car enthusiasts and environmentalists, SUVs are really unpopular. Now, car enthusiasts, their main concern is the fact that SUVs will be made in replacement of more interesting stuff, like estates, hatchbacks, and saloons. But with environmentalists, their main concern is pedestrian safety and the wastefulness of these vehicles, because at one given time, a lot of these big G-classes and Range Rovers will only really have the driver and maybe one other passenger in the vehicle, so all that extra space just wasn't needed. And whilst they're all perfectly valid points, in my opinion, SUVs are a necessary evil. Now, to give some context, my first car was a Citroen C2. I got a £500 and it was awful. One particularly bad thing about that car though was the ride height. For some reason, it was unbearably low from factory. This car wasn't modified because, well, why would you want to modify that thing? It was awful, but that thing would scrape over even the slightest speed bump. And if you had a passenger in the car with you, oh my god, it was awful. It was just the worst car I've ever driven. And I've driven quite a fair few cars, to be perfectly honest. I've driven quite a lot of cars. And that car was the worst I've ever driven. Terrible, terrible, terrible vehicle. My current car is a Mini R50. So it's a little bit better over the speed bumps, a little bit more comfortable, but it's still pretty bad. You're still driving along, jumping up and down, bouncing around everywhere because it's so low, because our roads are so terrible. And so whenever you see like these men and their big Range Rovers and all this kind of stuff, right? It's easy to say like, oh, look at this loser compensating for the fact he's not 6 foot tall, all this kind of nonsense, right? But just think a little bit, you know, our roads are basically like that of a war zone, right? I'm pretty sure we can all agree. And you basically need these tanks just to get around without having to get a brain tumor from fucking shaking around all over the place. Like, no, our cars in England have to get an MOT, right? And it's pretty strict. It's pretty strict MOT. It's fair enough, but it's pretty strict. What I don't understand is that our cars have to be roadworthy, right? But our roads are not required to be car-worthy. How does it make any sense? It just doesn't. So, if you want to solve the SUV problem, just fix our roads. Simple as that.